The protesters in Ferguson, Missouri, were recently met by heavily armed police units. Now, for example, some of the armaments that they had were armored vehicles, marksmen, assault weapons, tear gas, smoke bombs, you name it. Now, we've got a couple of pictures of some of the things that they have, just to give you a look into what the protesters are actually dealing with in Ferguson. Let me go to those right now. All right, so there you have an armored personnel carrier. That's pretty lovely. So, you know, they get to go in there with their armored personnel carriers. And then you have this picture, which is really kind of disturbing to me. Marksmen aiming at the people down in the crowd, training their weapons. There have been reports of, like I said, officers training their weapons on peaceful protesters. That should not happen. But those are a couple of pictures of some of the armaments and stuff that they're using. There you have it. Now, one of the things that's remarkable about this is that it looks like something you would see in Iraq or Afghanistan, not Missouri. And what do you guys think so far?
Well, it's especially terrifying because the first rule of gun safety is treat every weapon like it's loaded. The second rule of gun safety is never sweep your muzzle across anything or anyone you don't intend to destroy. Now, to be completely fair, we don't see the other side of the picture to know where the muzzle of that weapon's pointed. It's being reported in multiple articles that weapons are trained on the crowd. I haven't seen any actual, well, I've seen a few pictures of weapons trained on individuals, not so much on the crowd in general. But regardless, like if the way it's being reported is accurate and that marksman has his weapon, he's not at low ready. He is trained. It's on his shoulder. He's ready to fire. Like, that's war zone behavior. That's I'm got my target and I'm ready to shoot behavior. So like you've got police officers who not only are they not practicing discretion, they're not practicing like basic firearm safety. These are not people making wise decisions. This is the kind of thing that we insult, you know, dumb rednecks who shoot themselves in the foot, you know, in segments all the time for. And these are what the cops are doing here. And they're doing it with some serious equipment. Like, that's a really nice rifle in that picture. I would like to have that rifle, but I would not use it but for the same reasons this gentleman seems to be using.
It's a very terrifying picture. What's really unsettling for me is from my angle, I rarely see cops who are visible to the public actually training weapons on the public. I can think of only a few examples that come to mind where that's happened, and both of them have ended badly. Both cases had soldiers or people training guns on a crowd, and it didn't work out well. But the more important thing for me is this guy is visible. Like, if there's a riot situation, I guarantee you, in probably most riot situations, there probably is law enforcement personnel somewhere pointing guns at the crowd. But they're designated marksmen in, like, Overwatch positions. They're not sitting in trucks watching you pointing guns at your face where you can see them. They're people who are hidden for a reason because it doesn't look good and it tends to make the crowd more upset. But they're there to make sure things don't get out of hand. This is throwing away all pretenses of, oh, let's just make it so the crowd stays calm so they don't think we're trying to like target them or something. That pretense is gone. They're directly pointing guns at the crowd, at least based on the pictures we have. That's what, to me, what is more unsettling than anything else is they're not hiding it.
I mean, I may go a bit Jimmy Dore here, but and I don't want to generalize, but a lot of the police officers are just thugs. You know, there are a number of police officers, and it certainly seems in this case in Ferguson, a number of the police officers there seem to be, at least they've been acting thug-ish. And you've given them a whole lot of gadgets with all these new toys, which Jeff's just about to go on. You don't think some of them want to use them? They haven't had a chance to test them out yet in a real-life situation. Somebody wants to pull that trigger. Somebody wants to aim that water cannon. Of course they want to use all the nice gadgets they've been sold to by the military.
All right. So, I mean, we have an example of the kind of armaments and things that these police officers, you know, so-called keepers of the peace, right, are using. So the question is, how did the police get so well armed? Well, I have some information on that. And for that, we go to an article in Salon. Now they explain, quote, the Ferguson Police Department is part of a federal program, Federal Program 1033, that distributes hundreds of millions of dollars of surplus military gear to police forces across the country. So they're sending military-grade weaponry and gear over to police forces. Now they have the motto of from warfighter to crime fighter. That sounds interesting, right? In theory, but in practice, obviously you see some of the issues going on here. Now, according to the program's website, the 1033 program has redistributed more than $4.3 billion worth of property since it began in 1997. And almost $500 million worth of property just last year. The most money ever given as part of this program. So it makes sense that they've got all this gear coming back, and now they want to do something with it. And they're giving it to our police department. It's a bit of a problem.